She's worked with clients such as Grammy House, Sephora, Naomi Osaka for Nike. She's worked on high-profile projects such as Art of Bloom, owner of Finery, Lisbeth Molina. Welcome.
Hi. Hi. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Dr.
So
Helen?
I'm super excited to talk with you. I know that being Latino and being so passionate about culture,
Yeah.
let's talk about your grandmother
Yes.
and how she kind of gave you a little influence into the floral field. Tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about that.
But like honestly, both of my grandmothers have been so influential in just raising me with like a reverence for nature. You know, being Latino, you have your abuela's really close. My paternal grandmother, she even like lived with us for a little while, but my most early memories of her was I lived in Texas for a little while, and she used to always like go out to her garden and bring in clippings and put flowers all over the house. And I remember feeling so special about that.
Yeah.
And also, I used to love and go and like hide in the garden. And my grandfather had this like huge wall of cactus, like it was all these potted. It was almost like a wall installation
Oh my
of all these
goodness.
different cactuses that he was fascinated by. And then my other grandfather, he lived in Florida and always had a bunch of orchids on the porch. But my grandmother, both of them have always been very romantic souls. I think it's very typically Latino,
Yeah, for
to
sure.
just have that air of romance. But I just think that we love like the dulce de la vida, like we love the sweetness of life, right? So
Yeah.
we love and have a deep reverence for beauty and romanticism and bringing those things in and around you and surrounding yourself with those things. That has really laid the foundation for why I love flowers, why I think they just complement any occasion. They just make everything feel so special. Every single time I go to an event, wedding, music video, anything it could be, it's not really finished until the flowers arrive, you
It's
know?
true. Yeah.
It doesn't look finished until the flowers arrive. And it's like, okay, now it's a party, you know?
Right. Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, so I'm so thankful that I had that influence with my grandmothers because yeah, I'm a romantic girl
Yeah.
at heart, and so I have to be surrounded with flowers always.
So tell me, being Latino, how has
Mhm.
that influenced your design style? Because I mean, you definitely have a design style.
Yeah, I think Latinos always have kind of like their jardín side, like whether it's like even if you had like a little balcony, at least you had some potted plants that you were going to make something
Yeah.
beautiful, right? You were going to grow something. I thankfully being around so much kind of natural growth, I think has influenced my design style because I like to design very organically. I want it to
Yeah.
look as though it came from the land. I want it to feel just rambling and enveloping. And I think that has definitely because I do kind of lean more texturally, more a little bit more avant-garde, a little bit more garden,
Yeah.
because of those influences of just like growing up in gardens and seeing those things. Don't get me wrong, I started out in this industry 10 years ago and I was like bred on pave round styles,
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I know how to do both things. But I just there's something about looking at an arrangement that just looks like it grew right there
Yeah.
that just feels so special and yeah,
Yeah. I
alive.
think that definitely describes your design style. And I think too, like the industry is always evolving
Yeah,
and through different trends, so to speak, but like
yeah,
always like staying true to yourself, through the years that you've been through floral design and trying to kind of remain, up to date and relevant, but still remaining, to yourself. Um,
yeah.
yeah. So I love your website. And
Thank you.
I am obsessed with this life cycle arrangement because I
Yeah.
have never heard of this before.
Mm.
And it's something that really excites me because I think like when you're a floral designer, like you're bit by the bug and you love fresh flowers, of course, but
Yes.
you also love the fact that, their life cycle when they die and, what turns into, what they turn into. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. So when I started out in the floral industry, like everybody who's kind of green, you work these events, and at the end of the day, if you're striking the event, everybody's throwing
Yeah.
away the flowers, and you just have this like pit in your stomach. Now, after 10 years, you're kind of like, these flowers need to go. But in the
Exactly.
beginning, you're very like, oh no, don't let go of the flowers, like they're gonna be all thrown
Mhm.
away. I need to take them all, And so I started taking all the flowers, and I let flowers expire in my house all the time. Like behind me is already a dried arrangement.
Yeah.
I have these sunflowers here that I'm just letting them dry because I kind
See?
of just want to see. I was always just kind of curious, and I do think that there's just a beauty in them. I grew up in Florida, and we don't really have a changing of seasons,
Yeah.
and I'm born in December. So I kind of always missed out on having a changing of seasons for my birthday. It was
Yeah.
still like bikinis in December.
Yeah.
So I think when I see the flowers dry and I see them expire and I see the changing of the color, the tone, the texture of it, it gets me really excited because it's almost like my own little mini fall, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I really think that it doesn't matter in what stage they're at, there's beauty to be found in it. And so I really want to invite people because also all the time I would always hear from clients, oh, I love flowers, but they just die.
Yeah.
And then like I would be like really sarcastically be like, well, people die too. Do you not want to care about them? You know,
Right.
like everything dies.
Yeah.
So why does that lessen its value? If not, it should increase the value of this because
That's
we have
an
such this
amazing point.
ephemeral, we have this like
Yeah.
ephemeral time with it so short that you should have like even a deeper love and reverence for its beauty and how little time you have for it.
Yeah.
Um, so like it's like wisteria season. Like we have like maybe 3 days here in California. Like I have this neighbor that she has an amazing wisteria bush, and it's just like you get those 3 days, but I pass by every single day just to like I'm like, oh, it's just like I have this little bit of time with it. So that's what kind of birthed the
Yeah.
idea of life cycle design for me, because I wanted people to realize, yes, flowers die, sure, but there's beauty in it too. And
Yeah.
so I wanted to always incorporate florals in my arrangements that could continue along with my client, because a lot of them liked dry flowers but didn't really want to go, like didn't really know exactly what the process was of drying them. And then so with every arrangement that I would deliver, I would kind of tell them like these dry really well, and I'd point out the ones in their arrangement that
Yeah.
would. And it caught on to me like, hey, I should actually design with this always in mind,
Yeah.
always incorporating things in the design that are going to dry so nicely so that they'll still be able to have this memory. I know
Yeah.
people who like have dried their wedding bouquets and stuff like that just to
Yes.
like
Yes.
hold on to those memories. And these are kind of like little snippets around. I love to dry like allium, anything that kind of feels like a Dr. Seuss flower to me.
Yeah. Is that your favorite? What's your
uh,
favorite flower?
gosh, I have so many flowers that I love
I
for
know it's
different
kind of like an
reasons.
unfair
It's
question.
really hard.
Yeah.
I have a deep obsession with sweet pea. They just look, I was a fashion major. They look like ruffles of fabric. It's just the most beautiful. Oh, it's such a beautiful flower, and the scent is divine. Um, you know, Roses get a bad name sometimes, but I'm a rose girl. I
Yeah.
love them. They're tried and true. I love them at every stage. Clematis, the way it just winds around things and just literally feels like stars sometimes. It's
Yeah.
so pretty. But I would say my favorite flower to dry would be allium.
Yeah.
I am obsessed with dried allium. I'm kind of doing a little bit of a study on it at the moment and photographing them when they're fresh and then allowing them to dry and like having so many different varieties
Yeah.
of it that I have here in my apartment. And it's so fun.
Yeah.
I love to dry those the most because they just dry like little star work, like little
Yeah.
starbursts. And it's so
They're
pretty.
so pretty. I feel like people don't really know about
Yeah.
allium and about the
Yeah.
varieties. There's so many varieties.
So
And
many.
some don't even look like allium, and you would never think,
Yeah.
like, yeah. So
So cool.
I'm more allium.
Yeah, buy more allium, guys, because
Yeah.
the way that it dries is just so beautiful. And sometimes when I have people come over, they're just like, "What is this?" I'm like, "It's allium. It's dried allium flower," because they just look like little fireworks all over the apartment. It's really
Yeah.
fun.
So pretty. Let's talk about how your jewelry
Mhm.
business kind of came into the flower business.
Yeah, that was really fun. So jewelry came first. I was working a regular 9 to 5, and I look outside the window every day, and I'd be like, "Why am I here?" You know? And I just felt like I needed to do something with my hands. I definitely kind of calm myself down when I'm working with my hands, and I think that's why I love flowers so much, and that's also why I love jewelry so much because I do like tedious things. Um, and so like I love like floral jewelry and stuff like that, and like working really tediously, but the jewelry came about because I was a fashion major. I
Yeah.
loved accessories. And I specifically made jewelry that was statement jewelry, but that was really light because I have very sensitive ears. And I wanted like big statement pieces, but I wanted them to be like pared down and like just not so heavy.
Yeah.
With all of the jewelry, which was actually quite successful, I would always do photo shoots and always have to buy flowers to incorporate them in the shoots.
Yeah, of course.
The more I would do the shoots, the more I was like, gosh, I just love the flowers. Like I love going to the market and like love getting them. And like I realized that my passion was shifting so
Yeah.
intensely towards flowers. And I had gotten a part-time job and I was like, that's not working out. And I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna get a job, I kind of want to do something that I love. And since I had already
Yeah.
had this love with the flowers, like, okay, let's just go, right? I think I went to the market, I bought some flowers, I made 3 separate arrangements, photographed them, put together a portfolio, and found a Craigslist ad looking for someone looking for a floral help, like a florist in a flower shop in Santa Monica called Stephanie Grace Designs. Shout out. And I was like, let's go, let's just try. And so having the flowers be a part of the photo shoots for Raw Finery jewelry birthed the passion that I have for flowers. And then
Yeah.
flowers just, it came so naturally and just like
Yeah.
spilled out of me when I started that. That's the one that stuck the most. But I
Yeah.
do still love, like, whenever I get really fun brides that want like floral pieces, like floral earrings, floral. I had this one amazing bride that she was like, I want like a flower boa. She's like, I just want it to like drape around my arms. And I thought that was so
Were
amazing.
you like,
Like, yes.
yes.
I was like, yes. Flower boas. I was like, yes. Why haven't we thought about that before, you guys?
Yeah.
And that one was really special to me. I remember still, it's one of those pieces that you like pass off to them and then you just like stare at them.
Yeah.
And they're just like, okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
That
And you're like,
feeling is so
I love this.
indescribable. Like to hand that, yeah, it's
Yes.
so incredible. Do you
Yeah.
think that working in the flower shop, um, really was like a turning point because did you learn like the basics and you learned, a lot from, or
I,
were you self-taught?
yes. So I had gotten Studio Cho's floral recipe book, and I had learned a ton of like foam free mechanics. Beknownst to me, I had never known what Oasis was. I went to my job interview and she's like, okay, cool. I'm going to get you some Oasis, this and that. And I was like, oh, I don't know what that is. Right. So I was just like, yeah, winging it, right. I'm still kind
Yeah,
of just like fake it till you make it at this point.
exactly.
And I put together this, they always tell the story because I put together this bouquet and then I looked at the oasis and I was just like, what do I do? And I just like stuck it in the oasis, right? Because I didn't know what to do. Like
Yeah.
I'd never seen this product before. And she comes over cackling, laughing, and she's like, have you ever worked with Oasis before? And I was like, no. And she's like, just do what you do. So I made like a regular base arrangement based off of balance mainly because that's how I kind of learned from the book,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
to balance stems and to have like just like really foam free mechanics. And she's like, oh, like if you know how to do this, Oasis is going to be so easy
Yeah.
for you. So like she hired me on the spot. It was absolutely essential.
Yeah.
Working in a flower shop is such a good experience just to see how floral consumers buy flowers and why they buy flowers
Hmm.
and like the relationship that the client has. It gave me a really good foundation of one, client relations, being able to talk to clients,
Yeah.
being able to understand what they want without them really understanding what they want, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, for sure.
having those conversations with them. Because they, like, you know, if you're making an arrangement, sometimes they would come in, they're like, okay, I want an arrangement. You make it right in front of them. And they just like sit and like talk and like
Yeah.
watch, you know, and you learn so much about the client from that and exactly how they live with flowers.
Yeah.
Whether it's like, no, I just want this one mono floral arrangement. I want it to be big. I was very lucky that Stephanie, um, she taught me the ins and outs of the business, which was like really trusting of me. And I really will forever cherish that because I was going really slow when I was really young. And she's like, okay, Liz, I need to break this down for you. And she's like, this is the price of this arrangement. She's like, it's taking you this is how much
Yeah.
the product costs. And then she would deduct it from that. And then she's like, and this is how long you're taking to make it. And she deducted it for that. She's like, so you see, after all this time that if you're taking an hour to make this arrangement, then you're not really making anything off this arrangement. So just learning the financial aspect of how to make
Yeah.
flowers profitable and um, have that retail experience, which was so different for me because coming from the fashion industry, I knew I had a good foundation of like retail relations, but this was a whole different ball game,
Yeah.
and it really, I think, was super essential in my career. With Stephanie Grace Designs, she's a Virgo, so she likes to wear a lot of hats. So in this particular flower shop, it was a flower shop. We did events. We did holiday decor. So we did like a lot of houses for Christmas.
Yeah.
We did interior design. We did, it was a lot. There was like a
Yeah.
lot of different hats that we had to wear. And I had to be a planner and a florist when I first started. And the flower shop experience, plus being a planner and a florist, but
Mhm.
all of those different like combined things, although quite intense at the time, it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah, I've said this before on the series. I do feel like working either in a flower shop or as a freelancer is like a rite of passage.
Essential,
It's yeah,
essential.
yeah. And I think too,
Yeah,
like, you would be selling yourself short if you didn't get that
I
free
agree.
experience, you know?
Yeah, I agree. It's
There's
also
so many,
interesting.
yeah,
It's because I kind of call myself, like, for a long time, I called myself a professional freelancer. I'm a floral ghostwriter. I'm like, you've seen my work, you just don't know it's me, you know? And
interesting, yeah.
I'm like, we're floral ghostwriters, the freelancers of the world. But it's interesting when I work for people that have never freelanced. You can tell
Yeah,
immediately because I'm like, oh, like you don't realize how to one like sometimes take care of your team, you know, because you were never a freelancer, so you don't really understand what it's like on this end, you know. And I always tell all of my like young freelancers that come in too, I'm like, listen, you want to make it far in this industry, freelance, learn all you can learn, you know, while working. It's like
mhm,
it's a tremendous blessing. Like you're getting to go to school while getting paid kind of course you have to have a skill set and you're going to be paid at an appropriate rate for your learning. But some people pay to go to college, like you get to get paid to learn,
Yeah.
so take advantage of that. That's a tremendous blessing. And also, you want to be asked back, always take out the trash. You work with someone one time, always offer to take out the trash. As a floral designer, it's the one thing we hate to do the
Yeah.
most. It's like, dang, now we got to take care of all this trash from this event, So I always tell them,
Really
show
good
up on
advice.
time, and always offer to take out the trash. You'll be asked back.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
incredible, incredible advice. What's something that you want to do more of in 2025?
Large scale installations. I I worked with an amazing team and an amazing floral designer for many years called Tulipina, and she has the budgets to create dreams,
Yeah.
and working with Tulipina was so amazing because it allowed me to work with flowers at a scale that I had never thought imaginable, you
Yeah.
know? And I realized this year that, like, I stepped away and I'm focusing on my business, how much I miss creating large
Yeah.
scale installations.
Yeah.
Um,
And the
and I got to do
experience
that.
too at that level is probably,
Yeah,
yeah.
the experience is amazing. What I fell in love with the most is just that team. It's like we were the kids in the neighborhood that, like, got together and was like, let's build a fort today. And, like, I'm going to be like, all this pretend play. Now we get to do it as adults. And this team, Team Tulipina, it's like, it's just working with such a well-oiled machine. And it was a really amazing experience. And I'm eternally grateful.
Yeah. I feel
Yeah.
like your installations too, like the ones on your website and such, and or on Instagram, are done really, really well, and
Thank you.
they're really pretty.
Yay.
Yeah, I just love
Thank you
them.
so much.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I love installation work.
you could tell, you could clearly tell
Yeah,
that's, yeah, it's one of your sort of
it definitely
yeah,
it's definitely like my running passion. I
yeah,
think because I love to just make pretend environments that feel just so beautiful. Like, I'm gonna totally age myself with this reference, but I grew up watching this one movie called Thumbelina. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. And she was a fairy and she was birthed out of a poppy. She was birthed out of a flower. And I kind of was obsessed with that movie growing up, and just having kind of just like these fantastical environments.
mhm,
I love working set design too, because it allows for that too. Like, you're just creating something out of nothing. And I just love that idea with floral installations. Often the clients that come to me for their weddings, they're like, interestingly enough, usually creative people, and what I found is a lot of creative people are both extroverted and quite introverted.
yeah,
And so, especially when put on display, they want this level of intimacy. And so that's when I started playing around with ideas of, okay, um, I want to create a space for the bride and the groom, or the groom and the groom, or the bride and the bride, that feels like, yes, it's a very public event right now. You're getting married in front of everybody. But at least if I create this space for you, you're going to feel so enveloped and safe and, like, intimate, like it's only you guys, you
yeah,
know? And the fact that you could create that with florals to create that feeling of intimacy,
mm,
although being so public, I think is so mind blowing and amazing,
yeah,
um, and really special that we're able to provide that for someone. It's just so
yeah.
mind blowing to me.
Yeah, it is. It's incredible. Well, I love your work and I loved getting to know
Thank
you a little
you.
better. Thank you so
Yes,
much for coming on and sharing your story with us. And
thank
yeah, I love it.
you.
Thank you
Yes,
so
this
much.
is so much fun.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for having me. This was such an honor.
thank you.